Hi, y'all. It's Jamie with Color Flutter Creations, and I am ready to celebrate our nation's 250th birthday. It is also my birthday month. So, we are going to make a fun patriotic card that has all of this texture and dimension using a napkin technique. And that's where we're going to start. So, let's get fire cracking. As mentioned, we are going to use napkin and this kind of napkin. So I want to show you how I created this, which is using a glue-based solution. And it just creates all this wonderful fun texture and crinkleness, as well as on the back, it's still smooth, so we can glue it down however we want, and it's very flat, as you can see there. Because it is also Christmas in July, I thought I would go with this holiday themed napkin to show the technique. You can buy this at any type of, store during the holiday season. This one is fairly inexpensive and is only 2 ply. But what we need to do is separate them. I have a piece of tape. You've seen me do this with stickers, and I'm just putting the tape on the back of the napkin so that I can easily peel off the top layer, which is what I need to have happen. I have my tape under that bottom right corner, and I'm going to try and get my nail just underneath that top layer. I think you could probably use like a pick tool as well, but I would be careful that you're not puncturing the layer. You just need to bring it up enough that you can start separating the layers. And when it's separated, you can see exactly how thin that first top sheet of the napkin really is. And if I position this over the dark and the light, you can really see the difference in that coloring, and which just shows how thin it really is. Now I am going to cut this because there are 4 quadrants. I decided I wanted to cut it so that I am just working with each as its own separate individual element. Now, this technique that I am showing actually is by Treasure Books. I don't know if Natasha over at Treasure Books got this idea elsewhere, but that is where this idea came from, was from Natasha at Treasure Books. So check out her channel. She does a lot of junk journal and mixed media type stuff, and it is just fun to watch her and see all the inspiration that you can get. If you're like me and can't do anything straight, then fret none if you can't cut the napkin straight. This is a very forgiving technique, so don't worry about little blippies like that. To create the glue solution, I'm just using white school glue, which is water-based, and mixing that with water till it's kind of soupy and runny. Now, mine is pretty thin, and that's how I like it. You could also make it thicker. You can also add into your coffee to make a vintage look, or maybe ink, watercolor, or paint to make fun pops of color. I am using some wax paper to put my napkin on and making sure that the napkin just fits in my, really messy piece here. And then I can take my glue solution and I can place that onto my wax paper. Now it will bead up a little bit because, it's wax paper, but it's fine. Because once I grab the napkin and I lay that over the glue solution, it just kind of spreads, as you can see here. And then I just kind of tap it, make sure that it is fully covered. And then I can take more of the glue solution and kind of paste that on. Now I am using a Distress Collage medium brush, but you could use whatever kind of brushes or paint brushes that you may have. I am being a little careful because I don't want to rip my napkin. So just keep that in mind. If it happens, it is not the end of the world, though. It creates some fun texture. I pulled out a dry paintbrush, but you can absolutely use whatever brush you are already using for your glue solution to curl the edges. So I'm just taking the tip of my paintbrush here, going along the edges, and that's the area that I had the little bobble, I guess, when I cut it. I didn't cut it straight, and this is why it's so forgiving and doesn't matter if you cut your napkin straight or not. But I'm just gonna go around the edges, kind of pulling up a little bit so they curl, and that will help it to release when the glue is dry and we want to remove it from the wax paper. The next thing is the glue solution. Now you can keep this for quite a while because it is a water-based glue and all I did was add water to it. Now I'm sure over time it would start to dry out or become a little thicker, but you can actually keep this for a long as you didn't put any of the additives. So I'm just taking a piece of press and seal and putting that over my little glass cup here. I suggest a jar if you have an airtight jar. I bet you forgot this was supposed to be a patriotic theme project, and it is. So I'm going to cut down this napkin, but I want to let you know that I'm using this Simon Says stamp set, which is stamps and dies, and they are the Having Fun stamps and dies. I'm going to be focusing really on the fireworks that are shown right here. A trimmer works great for cutting down the napkin to the size that I want my background or card panel to be. This will go onto an A2 card base and have just a little bit of a border around the flag. I need to do some stamping and inking, and so I picked out some colors, the Catherine Pooler Rockin' Red and Blue Suede Shoes, and then I've got Lisa Horton Metallic Inks in silver and gold. So I'm going to use all of those. The first thing that I want to do though is I actually want to use this Spotlight Burst Trio stencil set from Simon Says Stamp. It came with that whole stamp and die, and it was a whole release. And so I have the stencils here, and I actually want to use the metallic inks for the stencils. Now, the stencil set has a small, a medium, and a larger size, which that larger size could be fabulous for creating one big burst, as well as being used for many types of different, I don't know, card variations and celebrations or additional sunbursts. And I think you could just have a lot of fun with this stencil set. I have a sponge finger dauber and I'm going to use a generous amount of the gold ink and then go through the stencil to create my bursts. And I'm going to do this quite a few times because I don't know how many fireworks that I really want. But again, just a generous amount because I really want the gold shine to come through. And you can just see all of that gold shiny goodness. I love these metallic inks. I just love for interference inks, the metallics, all of them. So I'm going to repeat the process using the silver. All this shine is just so scrumptious. Yum, yum, yum. I don't know if I really want to use gold or silver on this card, but I decided I'm going to stamp in the red and the blue, the actual fireworks over both colors, and then I can decide what I want to do. And I think this is going to be a cool effect, and I did not disappoint myself. I love the actual like blue and the red over the gold. It just kind of brings the fireworks to life a little bit more. What do you think? Good idea? You like it? I use my Spellbinders Platinum Scout and I die cut out all of the fireworks as well as additional layered pieces because I wanted the pieces to be a little thicker and more substantial. So I just use liquid adhesive and I layer everything up. For this specific die in the set, it is a bit harder to figure out how to line it up over your stamp because it's not as open as the others. So my tip is to first cut and then stamp when it comes to just this one die. And here you can really see just what I mean about how hard it was to kind of, I guess, cut it out and find where it needed to be. But I do love that gold behind there. I really, really do. I think it's a fun, fun effect. I thought of another fun way that you can use these fireworks. While I was actually trying to figure out the positioning on my napkin card panel, I did a little bit of layering and I love this. You could have just extra fun and double bursts with this set. I use liquid adhesive on the back of my fireworks and I just lay them down onto my napkin card panel. I mean, it's not really a card, but you know what I mean. It's going to be for our card base. So I'm just using liquid adhesive and it sticks just perfectly, even with the bit of texture that is created with the napkin technique. While I'm not using a sentiment from the stamp set today, I wanted to show you all of the fun additional elements like these streamers, and then you have where you can do popcorn buckets and so on and so forth. So this whole stamp set can be used for not just firework themes, but any kind of celebration theme or carnival theme. It could be really, really fun. So it's just a good one for birthdays for any time of year. I'm using 3 letters for the sentiment USA. So I have these sticker letters and they are this denim look to them, which I thought goes perfectly with our flag kind of vintage feel background. And our fireworks are round-ish, and then the card panel is kind of squared off. So just because the firework is round, a lot of people think you've got to go round in the middle. Well, no, you don't. I love the juxtaposition of the squared off letters with the roundish fireworks and then this card panel. I think it looks fabulous. So that's what I'm going with. I using my seriously old foam dots here still, and I'm going to pop these letters up. One day I'll get rid of them. I have a white card base and I'm going to just use liquid adhesive on the back of my napkin card panel here, which really does look like rice paper, but I'm going to use that and then I'm going to put that onto my card base. When I do that, you can see those colors in the flag just pop. So amazing. I love that effect because that napkin is so thin, like rice paper. Then when you put it on that more solid core background, it really does just enhance those colors. I wouldn't be me if I didn't add more shine. So because I opted for the gold metallic burst behind my fireworks, I'm adding some gold, metallic pearls to the front of this card panel just for an added little oomph. And I really think that it just kind of makes it even more lively. Before you run to go watch fireworks, I'm going to peel this up from the wax paper and I rip it here a little bit, but I don't mind that it gets ripped a little bit because it just adds to, I guess the fun texture of this type of technique. But the curled edges, as you saw, can really help get it off of the wax paper, which is why doing that is kind of an important step, at least for me. And then once you have it completely removed from the wax paper, you have your fun napkin and you can see it's pretty see-through. It's really thin, very much like rice paper. Try the technique out and then let me know in the comments how it worked for you. But here is our completed card, all that fun texture with the technique of the glue solution over a napkin, kind of making that, decoupage, rice paper kind of feel to it. The fun metallic burst behind the fireworks. I love that. The USA, the denim being brought in, the pop of the color of the napkin is when we put it onto the white card panel. I really love the gems and how it brought out even more of the gold. But here is the set that we used. The Simon Says stencil, which is the Burst Trio stencil, as well as that Having Fun stamp set that we used these fireworks on, and then of course the coordinating dies that go along with it. Thank you so much for joining me today as we created this fun patriotic themed card using some mixed media technique. I hope that you really did enjoy it. And if you did, please be sure to like this video. It really helps my channel out, helps me get out there to more viewers and people that are crafty just like us that may need some additional inspiration. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already and hit that notification bell to be made aware of when more crafty fun is to be had. Thanks again. Take care and be safe out there this July 4th. Bye-bye. Thank you for supporting me by subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing this video.